Good morning students, Sairam. Let's proceed with the next part, that is part 3 of lesson number 9, Changing Life 1, part 1. Now in the first two parts children, we have learnt about the different types of development that was brought about in the country, in the society, technology that was used for the economic and social development of the country. We have learnt about immunization, that is the changes that were brought about in the field of science and the medical field, and also educational facilities that were provided. So now let's proceed further in the next part, that is today part 3, that we are going to learn about. Now, what is urbanization? Urbanization, it is a process of concentration of population urban areas. As we know that we have urban areas and rural areas, wherein in rural areas we find more of primary occupation is carried out, whereas getting itself developed by means of technology, modern means, which turns the city into an urban city or urban areas. So increasing population, it was one of the major reason for urbanization. So as the population was increased, what happened, new places were developed, people started settling down, and so this gave an rise to urbanization. A few other factors affecting urbanization are air, water, and the economic as well as social organizations which are necessary for community life. So apart from this, you'll find the other factors which were responsible for urbanization were air, water, and also the economic as well as social organization. Now when we look at the period in the post-independence period, that is in the context of post-independence, we find in India the increase in urban population is also due to factors such as reduction in the mortality rate, industrialization, unavailability of means of livelihood. Now why have urban areas developed? So we find that due to medical facilities that were available, the death rate was reduced, and as a result there was increase in the population, and availability of in urban areas there was more in rural areas the job opportunities or employment opportunities, earning sources were limited. So people migrated to urban areas in search of jobs, employment, and as a result it gave them a source of livelihood. And at the same time we find that it was developed with various industries, so wherein people could get themselves employed in those industries. So apart from this, we find that as urbanization in rural areas, job opportunities in cities and the resulting migration. So there were more job opportunities were available in urban areas as compared to the rural areas, and this resulted into the migration of people from rural areas to urban areas. Now to reduce the strain on cities, it is necessary to make jobs available in villages, achieve a balance in economic development, control the expansion of metros, and provide necessary services and facilities in both urban as well as rural areas. So as people migrated from rural areas to urban areas in search of job, and they settled down in the urban areas, so it was becoming difficult to control in the urban areas the amount of population. So as a result, it was necessary to provide equal opportunities in the rural areas as well, so that the people can get equal opportunities within their villages, and so then there is no need of migration of people from one place to another. So accordingly the services and the facilities need to be made available both in rural as well as in urban areas. Okay, so this is how urbanization was one factor. Now when we talk of rural area, as we know that primary occupation is agriculture, and so village is a permanent settlement of farmers near the land. They themselves tilled either individually or collectively. So the farmers who settle down near the land which is tilled by themselves or collectively by all the villagers, and so villages came into existence when farming began. So in this way we find that as farming activity was started, there were various villages came into existence. Now villages in India are thinly populated. A dense cluster of houses surrounded by farmland and the unique feature of the Indian village. So what is one of the unique feature of Indian village is the dense cluster of farmland. Okay, a settlement smaller than even a village is called a hamlet. So the settlement of the people which is smaller than a village, so that is called as hamlet. Compared to the urban community, the village community is very small. So as we all know that urban areas are more developed, so we find that the migration of people is more towards urban areas, and so comparatively the settlement community in the rural areas was less as compared to the urban areas. Villages are not uniform across India. There are differences based on regional and physical features. So we'll find that the villages are not uniformly settled down across India. Why? Because of the occupation or the fertility of the land which is available for them for agricultural process. So accordingly we find that there is no uniformity of villages across India. Now let's have a look at the post-independence period. So keeping in mind the goal of rural development, the collective development scheme came into force, and so plans were made for improving farming technology and increasing the area of irrigated land, extending educational facilities, enacting laws for land reform under this scheme. So various schemes were implemented wherein irrigation facilities, land could be provided, educational facilities were provided, and also the farming technology can be improved so that there is more amount of production. It also aimed at increasing agricultural produce as well as expanding the means of transport. So apart from increasing the agricultural production, of course it need to be marketed, so the transport facilities should also be made available. Health services and scope for education in the rural areas. Also, the people in the villages should be provided with good health facilities and educational facilities. And so it was decided to give priority to economic development in villages. So more importance was given for the economic development in the villages, and the government undertook this work through the medium of Gram Panchayats. So as we have political parties here in urban areas, so we have the Gram Panchayats, the Zilla Parishad in the villages, wherein we find they look after the betterment of the villages. So all these programs were undertook through the medium of Gram Panchayats, which included people from all castes and tribes. To achieve this, the Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samiti and Zilla Parishads were empowered with more authority. So the Gram Panchayat, Zilla Parishad and the Panchayat Samitis were given the authority to carry out the upliftment of the villages by providing them with all kind of facilities. Now, how has this resulted into the changing economic life of the country? Earlier, every village was economically self-sufficient. A majority of the villagers were dependent on farming. So, farm produce used to be distributed among artisans as payment for their work. So, earlier as agriculture was the main source of income, we find that, and there was no currency, so barter system was followed wherein the exchange of goods was done. Now this situation has changed because of new inventions, new technology, new development. So rural areas are engaged in agriculture and occupations that is ancillary to farming, while urban society is engaged in non-agricultural production. So we'll find that along with agriculture or along with farming, animal husbandry is also a supplementary occupation wherein the farmers could earn their income. So while urban society is engaged in non-agricultural production and the service sector. Yes. So how has this resulted into the rural development? In 1961, 82% of India's population resided in villages. And in 1971, what was the percentage? 80.01%. So far, the rural areas has shouldered the responsibility of providing food grains and other raw materials to urban areas. So it was from the rural areas that the raw material and food grains were provided to the urban areas, supplying labor to the industrial sectors of the city and taking care of natural resources. So there are three major challenges with reference to rural development. Now, which were those? Namely, bringing about economic development, developing facilities to meet social needs, and finally bringing out about a change of attitude in the matters concerning society. So automatically when people are educated, awareness is created in the society, so that superstitious beliefs which people used to follow before, it is automatically changed, and it gave an outlook to scientific attitude of the people, and that is the reason the culture and the ways of thinking also need to be thought about accordingly. So it is equally necessary to expedite irrigation projects and bring about landforms. So it became necessary to so the major challenges which the villagers had to face was to bring about economic development by means of modern means technology used, and also developing facilities to meet social needs. So whatever are the basic needs of the society, the social needs of the society, that need to be fulfilled, which will ultimately result into the changing attitude of the people. So this is what we have learned in our today's class. That is part 3. The next part of the lesson will continue in our next class. Till then, thank you, children.